Men, if you awaken each morning with your legs weighing down like slabs of concrete, if your feet grow icy during the night, if your heart races fiercely from merely ascending stairs, or if those erections that used to appear without delay now dim, soften, or vanish entirely, pay close attention. These aren't mere arbitrary markers of growing older. They serve as alerts. Quiet signals indicating that your arteries are narrowing, your blood circulation is diminishing, and your body is approaching a critical limit. For countless men, the initial spot where blood flow falters isn't the heart or the brain, but rather the penis. That's precisely why your erections vanish well before any heart attack occurs. The harsh reality here is straightforward. The majority of men are informed that their only options involve swallowing pills or simply resigning to the deterioration. Yet imagine if the remedy wasn't yet another medication, not an operation, not needles, but rather something astonishingly straightforward. What if merely 2 drops of the appropriate natural oils could start dissolving those rigid arteries, thinning the viscous blood, breaking apart tiny clots, and reviving circulation even for men in their 70s or 80s? What if those effects could start showing within just 24 hours? I'm Dr. Moit Kara, and in this video, I'm going to uncover the 8 oils capable of revolutionizing your blood flow and your entire existence. Before we dive deeper, if you hold the view that every man merits genuine insights and effective remedies, pause for a single second to subscribe and enable notifications. I produce these videos specifically for fellows like you who won't surrender, and drop a 1 in the comments if you're set to reclaim your vigor. Now, let's dive into the impactful section, kicking off with the initial oil that can widen your arteries and revive circulation quicker than you might have dreamed. 8. Extra virgin olive oil. Picture extra virgin olive oil. This scene briefly. A fellow in his 70s, perched solitary at his bedside in the dead of night at 2 a.m., gazing downward at his legs, kneading his calves since they seem packed with damp cement. He attempts to rise, yet his feet sense numbness and chill, as if they've detached from him. And perhaps, just perhaps, he pauses before retreating to sleep, because he anticipates what follows. He will recline beside the woman he cherishes, desiring to touch her, yearning to reclaim his former self. But no reaction occurs, no vitality, no force, merely quiet. Not due to lack of interest, not from indifference, but because the blood that formerly rushed through him like flames has dwindled to a weary, aching drip. Someday he arose and grasped that his erections, the emblem of his life force, his virility, his assurance, had evaporated. And nobody had ever cautioned him that it would resemble the conclusion of a cherished essence. The bulk of men fault themselves. They believe they've let down. They assume it's their doing. They suppose it signifies they're damaged or frail. Yet the fact remains starkly uncomplicated. The issue isn't longing, isn't manhood, isn't hormones. The issue lies in circulation. As arteries turn rigid, obstructed, and swollen, as deposits accumulate like corrosion within an aged conduit, the penis lacks sufficient blood to operate. Erections aren't tied to years lived, they're tied to blood movement. And when that blood movement vanishes, existence loses its vibrancy. Here's where extra virgin olive oil emerges as a vital anchor. Far beyond a mere kitchen staple, it's a potent organic aid that has altered the fates of innumerable men. Laden with protective antioxidants and restorative fats for the heart, it functions as a mild purifier within your arteries, aiding in the removal of the adhesive residue that constricts vessels, polishing the interior surfaces so blood flows unhindered once more. It guards against hazardous coagulation, bolsters nitric oxide to permit arteries to loosen and broaden, and ensures blood arrives at the heart, the limbs, and indeed, the penis. Numerous men who commence with merely 1 tablespoon daily recount a subtle shift they hadn't anticipated. feet that cease feeling iced over, legs that avoid throbbing post-stroll, vigor resurfacing after eating rather than plummeting, dawn erections reappearing like a familiar companion, a flicker of self-assurance they deemed lost forever. The sort of alteration that doesn't proclaim itself boldly, but murmurs, "Your journey continues." For as circulation revives, optimism revives, and as blood courses with power anew, a man's essence reemerges alongside it. This isn't sorcery, it's physiology. It's the natural world aiding the body as intended. It demands only steadiness, one spoonful each day, a modest gesture of self-care. And if this eighth oil achieves such feats, hold on for the subsequent one. It possesses the ability not just to soothe swelling within your arteries, but to reignite blood movement so swiftly that certain men sense the shift nearly at once. Let's proceed. This is essential for you to grasp. 7. Avocado oil. There's an instant many men keep hushed, avocado oil. An instant resembling a blow to the torso. It unfolds in the physician's chamber as the lab outcomes emerge, and the doctor settles in, peers over his lenses, hesitates, and murmurs softly, "Those figures aren't favorable. Your cholesterol has climbed. Your triglycerides are elevating. Your arteries are stiffening." He avoids stating it outright, but you discern his true implication. Your deadline approaches. And in that fleeting instant, all the instances you once overlooked surge forth, sprinting alongside your children, clasping your spouse's hand amid a seaside stroll, sensing your heartbeat robust within your torso, arousing with dawn vigor that rendered you vibrant, potent, unyielding. Abruptly, you're merely seated there, nodding courteously while inwardly you're alarmed. Alarmed at forfeiting command. Alarmed at turning delicate. Alarmed at observing existence contract around you fragment by fragment. The majority of men dread not demise itself. They dread forfeiting the capacity to thrive while yet breathing. Forfeiting autonomy. Forfeiting closeness. Forfeiting honor. For as blood flow ebbs, all ebbs. Your cognition, your might, your vitality, your poise. You detect it first in your limbs, next in your torso, and ultimately in your potency. And still, no one informs men that swelling often proves the true destroyer. Not years, not destiny, but the hushed blaze scorching within the arteries, rendering blood denser, conduits narrower, and the heart laboring fiercer merely to persist. Here's where avocado oil transcends mere sustenance. It evolves into a subdued wonder, brimming with soothing monounsaturated fats and robust antioxidants such as vitamin E. It operates like a tender touch within the arteries, softly diminishing swelling, calming the interior linings, and granting blood the room and liberty to circulate anew. It elevates HDL, the beneficial cholesterol that safeguards, while diminishing LDL and triglycerides, the perilous lipids that obstruct and rigidify your vessels. It renders platelets less adhesive, less inclined to generate clots that rob respiration, rob motion, rob erections. Men who initiate avocado oil usage frequently utter phrases unspoken in ages. They mention sensing buoyancy post-meals, rather than swollen and drained. They mention traversing greater distances, sans halting for air. They mention warmth, rekindling in their limbs and souls. And at times, when courage allows voicing it, they mention potency, re-emerging in the chamber. Not from overnight youth, but from circulation's revival. From existence's revival. Nothing surpasses the potency of the instant a man comprehends he persists, that his narrative endures, that command remains his. 1 or 2 tablespoons daily for sautéing, toasting produce, or sprinkle atop a basic dish can mark the pivot the instant the current turns. And if avocado oil accomplishes this via merely tempering swelling inward, envision the outcome when employing an oil that exceeds mere safeguarding of arteries, one that truly tenderizes them, broadens them, and elevates nitric oxide organically so. Blood can thunder through the frame as formerly. The oil on deck has astonished investigators and reshaped the existences of myriad senior citizens. You'll crave this revelation. 6. Pumpkin seed oil. Pumpkin seed oil. There's a noise every man fears, though scarce will confess it. It's the rhythm of his pulse, hammering excessively within his torso deep into the evening, reclined in obscurity, fixated on the overhead, sensing each beat as an alarm chime, pondering if tonight marks the fracture. He rests his palm atop his heart, striving to regulate the cadence, striving to inhale measuredly, striving to persuade himself all's well, yet he senses irregularity. His pressure mounts subtly. His torso constricts post a stair ascent. His limbs puff by dusk and throb upon rising. He perches bed's brink and kneads his calves, yearning the burden lifts. Yearning dawn differs, but verity embeds like ballast. His form alters and command slips away. Not over his might, not over his drive, and assuredly not over his circulation. And then, amid the most secluded instances, actuality turns undeniable. The blood formerly propelling through his frame with might, now falters to advance. Erections once summoning sans effort, now evaporate sans notice. The form once deemed invincible, now seems brittle. It's a morning unprepared for men, a muted forfeiture that pilfers assurance, pilfers delight, and pilfers essence. For as circulation wanes, it's no mere bodily shift. It's sentimental. It's profound. It's a gradual dimming no man merits solitary. Yet what vast men overlook is that the heart isn't foe, the arteries aren't irreparable. The issue stems from tension. Elevated tension compelling blood via constricted, rigid passages till they splinter under duress. And concealed profoundly in the natural realm rests a subdued salvation. Pumpkin seed oil. Obscure, opulent, and brimming with magnesium, zinc, and potent antioxidants that function like a mild, firm grasp, easing the arteries so the heart needn't battle fiercely. It proves capable of diminishing pressure mildly yet substantially, tenderizing rigid arterial barriers and aiding nitric oxide, the molecular cue directing vessels to broaden and permit existence to course unbound anew. Men initiating pumpkin seed oil often depict the shift not as thunderclap, but dawn's glow. One day they observe limbs lighter. Another they grasp greater strides sans pause. The strain in their torso softens. They slumber more serenely. Their dawn pressure registers lower. And subtly, unforeseen, erections recommence with amplified might, amplified glow, amplified essence. Not from youth's reclaim, but from blood flow's spacious revival. 1 tablespoon daily, sprinkled atop greens or broth, can mark when descent halts and ascent commences. For as tension descends, optimism ascends. As arteries yield, existence broadens. As circulation revives, closeness revives. And if pumpkin seed oil can tenderize arteries and alleviate cardiac burden, what say you if I reveal the forthcoming oil not solely revives blood flow, but renders the blood itself less adhesive, less perilous, and vastly more adept at conveying might precisely where a man requires it utmost. The upcoming oil may astonish. Let's persist. 5. Sesame oil, sesame oil. There's an instant myriad men etch indelibly. It transpires amid showering, when abruptly a fierce, searing spasm grips. His calf clamps like pliers, compelling him to clutch the barrier merely to remain erect. The agony so acute it pilfers air. They await its retreat, cascade over their spine, pulse thundering, pondering if mere spasm or harbinger of graver ill. As the sinew yields, they resume ablution, yet inwardly transformation stirs. A subdued dread sprouts, for inwardly they grasp spasms striking like bolts aren't commonplace. They're indicators of blood laboring to attain sinews, indicators of circulation crumbling, indicators the form pleads aid. Later that eve, they recline and probe digits against lower limbs, sensing tautness under dermis, sensing cadence, sluggish and faint under digits, pondering how potency once robust could fray so abruptly. They muse on how basics now tax. Traversing the market sans halt. Ascending risers sans rail grasp. Seating sans torso strain. And then, amid utmost seclusion, verity strikes fiercer than spasm. Erections cease summoning with might. And when summoning, they dissipate like flame snuffed by gale. It's a hush, carving deeper than ache for it, resembles forfeiting identity fragment, unprepared to forfeit. Yet, what vast men evade is that much torment derives from oxidative strain, the gradual inner corrosion that impairs arteries, rigidifies conduit barriers, and converts fluid, salubrious blood course into abrasion and toil. And here's where sesame oil turns subdued wonder. Laden with innate elements termed lignans, it armors vessels from oxidative harm, akin to plating guards a fighter. It aids salubrious nitric oxide tears, so arteries broaden and permit blood to thunder rather than inch. It diminishes platelet adhesion, so blood turns fluid, less clot-prone, less hazardous. And it aids rigidifying arteries softening, not fleetingly, but steadfastly, dawn to dusk. Men commencing sesame oil intake often depict something extraordinary. Spasms, once rousing from slumber, commence waning. Limbs sense buoyancy upon stride. Souls sense amplified glow. Respiration deepens, and gradually, unforeseen, closeness alters. Erections turn ampler, mightier, more steadfast, not from arcane tablet discovery, but from circulation's revival, like cascade unbound post-barrier breach. Optimism revives, subtly, organically, potently. 1 tablespoon atop produce, atop broths, atop heated grains, can evolve the modest steed flipping dread to poise. For as blood courses unbound anew, a man senses vitality anew. As the form ceases self-battle, the essence ceases descent. And if sesame oil can armor arteries from inner corrosion, envision outcome upon introducing oil so robust, it not solely armors conduits, but thins the blood outright, aiding its effortless glide into frame's minutest arteries, encompassing those governing erections. The forthcoming oil executes precisely that, and it has reshaped existences in manners yet startling investigators. Persist attending. This merits your ear. 4. Almond oil. Almond oil. There's a tale I encounter from men constantly, and it launches identically. A fellow seeks to lace shoes come morn, inclining a head as executed myriad times sans reflection. Yet this occasion, variance strikes. An abrupt surge of vertigo assaults like bolts gleam. The chamber sways. Sight blurs momentarily. He halts, digits clutching patelli, pulse surging, striving equilibrium pre-tumble. He chuckles it aside, assures self mere swift rise. Yet profoundly, dread inundates, for he discerns that sensation abnormal. It signaled blood unable swift brain attainment, blood coursing like viscous molasses rather than robust stream, blood dense and toiling via constricted, impeded arteries. And that instant inaugurates dire, fresh cognizance, his form no longer sanctuary as erstwhile. From that dawn onward, minor shifts commence. He senses vertigo exiting vehicle. He forfeits poise, fleetingly exiting bath. Digits and soles sense chill, even midsummer. Drive wanes afternoon as if inner lamp dimmed. And upon intimacy bid, he quests might simply absent. He gazes downward, awaiting, yearning, yet naught occurs. Moments of hush span eternities. Disheartenment within torso outweighs vertigo, for erection forfeiture isn't carnal truly, not essentially. It's essence, it's honor, it's dawn arousal sensing self. What vast men overlook is dense, adhesive blood, often true erection failure cause. When blood turns overburdened, tardy, brimming with lipids and inflammatory refuse, it can't torrent into penis with might. It can't engorge chambers, can't erect tension, can't sustain rigidity. And that's where almond oil turns potent, brimming with vitamin E and yielding cardiac amiable lipids. It functions lubricant within arteries, diminishing blood's density, softly abating perilous LDL cholesterol obstructing conduit barriers and tempering swelling, sparking coagulation. It acts cleansing torrent post-prolonged aridity, rarefying and fluidizing flow for unbound motion anew. Men initiating almond oil often depict shifts unforeseen. Crania sense clarity, sight keenness, mental haze dissipates. Drive ascends, respiration eases. Dermis senses amplified glow. Cadence senses steadiness, and subtly, in indelible, instant. Erections reemerge, mightier, ampler, more enduring. Like form abruptly recalled, vitality's art anew. 1 teaspoon morn or eve, blended into heated dairy, or sprinkled atop oats, has anchored myriad men, deeming options exhausted. For as blood fluidizes,